Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm going to hate tonight's show. You'll see why. And here's Mike. He's probably not going to hate it. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Dale.
What is this over my shoulder?
Yes, when I first started looking at this, I'm thinking, is that a fossil? Because it looks like one of those fossils.
No, that's not nice to say about Pauline.
Oh, now, whoa. I think we've been down this road, and this is not good.
No. I'm kidding. Pauline knows that.
Just remember, Pauline, Dale said that.
No, I'm kidding. She knows I am. No, this is a flounder, and this is the city council floundering around about their marijuana ordinances.
Nice.
That's not a flower. That's a marijuana leaf, and they're floundering. Yes. The whole thing, this is one reason I hate this video. I mean, I chose to do this story, and I prepared it for you. Mm-hmm. But what's frustrating about this story is here you've got, I prefer the ones where, like yesterday, Keith Heck says, well, we haven't met yet. And then you go back one day, and there they are meeting. This is cut and dried. Well, cut and dried. Yeah, marijuana, cut and dried. I get it.
Yes, flounder, cut and dried.
Yes, it's easy to see. He lied to us. He lied to everybody. Okay, it's flat out, just completely wrong. Flat out. Okay, completely wrong.
Flat out, like a flounder.
Yes. The problem with this story tonight is, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, well, okay, it's nice every once in a while to show that both sides have something wrong with them or something right with them. And in this case, this lady that's there asking for a variance on the zoning laws is just wrong. I mean, it's just flat out wrong. She's just wrong, and it shouldn't be allowed. But the more you watch it, you go, oh no, well, the city's not quite right about this. And this is, well, wait a minute, there's other things close by, and what's up with this? And then it switches back, and you go, well, maybe she's got a point. And then she says a couple of things, you go, well, no, she doesn't. And then the city says something, you go, well, they're wrong too. Look, the bottom line to this is, whenever you can't figure out, and some of you are going to, well, it's obvious that it's not that obvious, okay?
Oh, well, it's good thing you have me here tonight, Dale, to
because everything is black and white to Mike.
Once again, Dale is confused, and I'm going to have to set things straight, you know?
Okay, but I have praise for Mike tonight, and damnation myself. Ooh, oh, no.
Listen, Dale, I'm just a man, okay?
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm unworthy. Look, Mike is the kind of guy that if he votes against something, like he wasn't that fond of the GMO ordinances, after the vote's over, he may not like the results, but he respects the fact that people voted for it. Now, there are a couple of people, can you see it coming, who should have the same attitude. What would their names be? Let's see.
Dale, you know what? Listen, just put away the shovel. You've already used it enough this week?
Yes, I won't even bother telling you the names of the people because you already know them. Everybody does. If you
want to know go to Josephine County Politics. You'll know what's going on.
Yeah, okay. All right.
No one has to tell you anything.
Nobody has to tell you anyway because you watch the show. Okay, look, the point is that that Mike respects the fact that a vote was taken. This is America. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose in the vote, but then you do respect the process, which is better than North Korea, where some of these guys should move. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so I respect that in him. What I don't like about myself this evening is I'm bringing you a story that's very frustrating at times. It's not black and white. Okay? And so let me give you an example. Mike, I've divided this, it looks like it's in like 3 parts, but it's really just in 2. Just to give you an example of just when you think that you've got this figured out, just play that first little thing until I fade to black. Go ahead and play that first.
Dennis?
Yeah, I noted also that in reading this that there's also a bar about 2 blocks on Rug River Highway, same strip of property. And so I was wondering, curious why that wasn't included in this ban, because it's right up adjacent to a residential area. And I think you partially explained that to me already, but I thought it would be useful because people do know there's a bar there, then why isn't the bar off limits, or why is it there?
If it's the one that we talked about earlier this week, Oasis, that was not approved as an adult use. So we worked pretty stringently with that property owner on how his operation should run and what sort of OLCC permit that he has on his windows. So his property was not supposed to be restricted to minors. We do have, now if he violates that, then we might have to deal with that as a code enforcement issue.
No, what?
There's
No, stop. Okay, so look here. It's the Oasis, right? And he's got permission to operate this bar where they sell alcohol. Okay, it's the Oasis. But she just said that it's not restricted to minors. What do you mean it's not restricted?
What,
really?
Yeah, but when you say it's not restricted to minors, that would be, if it were only minors that were allowed there, that would be restricted to
That's
minors.
not what she meant. What she meant was they're allowed to continue doing business because they're not an adult business. Adult businesses these days are places that sell cigars and places that sell liquor, especially hard liquor, and places that are going to sell or are selling, will be selling marijuana. Adult places, okay? And I guess probably bars with pretty girls in them, okay, just like Pauline. Okay, so make up for it, okay. And I like flounders too, depending on whether you put enough lemon on them, which is the same thing with. Never mind. Okay, so butter, yes. So what the heck is she saying here? That's not very clear, lady. It's just not very clear that the reason it's not okay for her facility is because, although it's got OLCC permission, so does this Oasis, because Oasis says we're not going to sell to minors, we're just going to sell to adults. She says we're not going to sell to minors, we're just going to sell to adults. They're nearby each other, but one of them is in and the other is out. What? Okay. And that's what he was asking, and I don't understand her answer. The way she said it seemed a little convoluted, but in the full video, and we'll post that, you'll see that you're going, well, no, what? So, okay, what's this about? This lady wants to have, and she's being clear about it. She's going to start off medical marijuana, but they fully intend to go into what they call the adult business, which is also the sales of recreational marijuana. They don't like to call it that now. They call it adult, whatever. Okay, whatever you like.
Which is a little confusing because you're thinking, that you're going to have,
porn
and sex toys and stuff like that.
Right. So, well, maybe they will, but okay.
That's a whole other story.
But, yeah, that is a whole other story. And so you're thinking, okay, you're just wrong. I mean, you don't fit within the regulations to be in a residential district. Okay, well, cut and dried. So I'm watching this, just making sure. I'm thinking, okay, well, every once in a while, maybe it's a good story to say, well, those guys aren't always right no matter how the vote went. And then you start listening a little bit more, and she says, well, now there's this behind me and this over here and that over there, and is this within the city limits? Is it within the city limits? We're going to see. It's a little frustrating. We won't get a chance to watch the entire video. We will post the entire video, but we're going to play back and cut any time that we want to talk about what we're seeing. So just keep in mind what you're going to see. It's going to seem like, so what's the controversy? Yeah, we're going to get there. I hate this kind of story. Go ahead, Mike.
There's a lot of opportunity here and a lot of business opportunity besides myself for our other locals. This location is out of town. The property is undeveloped behind us, and the entire neighborhood could use a boost. And I guess I should probably get to the points of asking for the relief. So I did obtain the license through the Oregon Health Authority, and that license was issued based off of all their zoning requirements. I'd come down to the city, I got the maps, I sent those all in with my application. The church does not have a school in it, and they don't have a large congregation, and they don't really have any youth programs or summer school or anything like that. So I did, because that was there, put on my operating hours that we wouldn't be open past 7 o'clock at night, and then we'd be closed on Sundays. And if that parking wanted to be used by that church, it would also be available. So that was all addressed with my application to the state. And they approved that location. So I wanted to go back to the criteria stating for a business that would not be open to, or would be open to the general public if there wasn't an age restriction. Well, besides there being an age restriction, it's not open to the general public. You have to have an Oregon State license to purchase marijuana from a medical marijuana facility. So as far as that criteria goes, it is not open to the general public. So I am asking for relief. I do know we could roll Measure 91 out reputably, and I do want to take this from medical into recreational. And I think that's beneficial for everyone involved, the city, the entrepreneurs. I want to have a retail storefront, but my main goal is to get in local products, sustainably grown organic products, and market Southern Oregon.
Sounds healthy.
And be a wholesale and retail distributor of these products. So I want to work with other entrepreneurs to establish your business with the timeline that's been laid out by the OLCC. They've actually done a good job organizing when each one of these licenses is going to come out, because there is a amount of time to establish each one of these businesses, whether it's from, packaging or labeling, but
okay.
Yes.
Just in case, sorry, maybe everybody knows this. OLCC is Oregon Liquor Control Commission. It's not exactly the same as the people who are going to be looking over marijuana. Although it's going to be like OLCC, it might eventually be OLCC. They may need to change the acronym. It's something else for right now, but all the laws are floundering around at this moment.
Aren't they initially in charge of it, though, until they can hand it off to some other thing there?
No, they can't be initially in charge because they've got the wrong initials. They're called OLCC. Sorry, Mike. Yes, they're. Yeah, it looks like at the moment they are. And what she's arguing is,
that's that Dale Matthews there.
What she's arguing is, look, this is good for private enterprises, sustainable. It's it doesn't grow hair and it's non-fattening.
Listen, I want to tell you what I have learned so far from this video is that images can often be deceiving.
Yes, they can. Okay, I'm looking at this and I'm going, whoa, what a babe. Well, okay, just because you may recall back in the 80s, this is the kind of show this is, back in the 80s, that everybody asked a question. They would tell you something and then they would say, well, one of the things I'm wondering is we would like to set this up. And it seemed like every sentence uttered by high school and college kids ended in a question mark. And so, and it wasn't, part of human condition. It just was, they were used to doing that. They do it all the time. You stop it. Okay, well, now what's happening in high school and college is that everybody's kind of drifting off at the end of the sentence. And then they'll start saying something, and then their voice gets all rough, like they've been smoking marijuana or drinking whiskey all day, and then they kind of end up like this. You see this from J.J. Schofield. The guy is practically middle-aged, the HR director, and he does it too. But she's a younger person, and you'll see that that's kind of just the way that she talks. And she's not exactly right on point. It's not crystal clear what she's saying at all times, but that's not that bad.
You know what? Listen, apparently she has enough together to have a business up and running, so I give her kudos for that.
Okay. There you go. All right.
Yes.
So I just wanted to explain OLCC, and there may be some other points where we just come in to be sure that everybody's on the same leaf. Okay, go ahead.
With that timeline, I really think that we can bring a lot of people through this one address and license, process, package, and distribute from here.
That's like dealing.
That'll be popular with the council.
Give a lot more people opportunity than with the sites that are available within the city that were on the map. There's also, I know we've talked about preemptive language as far as the zoning goes and everything. My license from the Oregon Health Authority was issued before they started on the HB 3400. And so I'm supposed to be governed into the rules that were posted before January 28th.
That's important.
And so that being new would apply once the OLCC licensing came in. But as far as the Oregon Health Authority, I've met all the requirements through the state. So really, I am just asking for relief. You have the power to help me and to help other entrepreneurs, but the decision is ultimately yours. The property right now, I don't want to change that ordinance. You know, it serves a purpose.
Okay, so she's golden with the state. But this doesn't make the city council happy because they're going up against the state on this. They want to have more restrictive rules in our area, despite what the vote was. This is why I said, you know, I like Mike for what he does about even backing something that he didn't vote for. They don't like what the state says. And so, listen, we won't be able to play the entire tape. We'll play as much as we can, but you already know what the answer is going to be, and you know it's going to be unanimous. Well, that's obvious.
Yes, because this is old news. However,
no, not because of that, because of who the city council is.
Yes, but you know, I mean, and some people just didn't get to see the sausage being made, and that's what this is.
That's right. And so this is, well, she's saying, you know, I'd like a variance. I would like a relief, as she puts it, from this rule that you've laid down on people that there's only certain areas where you can be.
I want to be the only one, you know, to be able to deliver fire control services within the city limits. Yes, I understand exactly what this is.
She would like to be able to do this business and be, and she'd love to be the only one. And the city council, you already know what their answer is going to be. And also they've got zoning laws on there, but she's saying, well, the state's already said yes. So when she fills out the forms, you're going to hear him say, well, now, did you fill out the forms right and put down what you wanted to do? She said, I couldn't fill out the forms right. Why is that? Because it didn't allow for what I want to do, and there's no code for it.
Well,
that's interesting.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting. You're going to see right outside the city limits, as soon as you pass the city limit sign, or you know, an area that people can feel sure that the urban growth boundary is not going to come over the top of them in the next couple of years, you're going to see a little pop store, you know, happening.
It's going to be
right outside the city limits.
Stores.
Mom and pop store. That's right. Yeah. Here's Mom Pot right there. Yeah.
Right. Mom, Pot, kettle. You know, so anyway, go ahead and keep playing.
And I really didn't know about it when I leased this property, or I would have done better due diligence, got another property. But because it is undeveloped, and from what I understand, and I'm sorry, because I know you mentioned that I needed to have enough evidence to show you this evening, but I don't. But
she didn't bring it with her.
Seen different things where the city's actually parked the trucks for the tree service.
If you're going to go to court, you got to bring in evidence.
And I believe ultimately it was partitioned to become a storage unit. So I think the previous people that have tried to develop that property have both looked at commercial use. So I do question the highest and best use for the property. And I know in the hearing, you know, that was addressed, that it could be built up residential and probably be pretty feasible for a developer to make a profit. But it is a really low income neighborhood, and there is only one entrance and exit to there. So if you did put in, you know, 9 apartments in there, you'd be creating a really low income condensed area that probably isn't best suited for public safety. I guess besides that, the reason that you can grant the relief is because there are negative effects for the denial of prolonged business. So I believe even though the variance doesn't apply, that is the reasoning council would be able to provide relief. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you for your presentation. Any clarifying questions from the applicant? Mark?
Thank you very much for being here tonight. Even though this has been used for commercial use is not the issue. It's the adult use that is the issue, and that's really why we're here.
I know.
It's a very interesting thing that this guy in particular. Go ahead, you say it, Mike.
Should not be, adult use.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us about adult use and Mark Gatlin.
We all know how much I frown upon adult use for, especially non-permitted adult use for things.
Right.
There.
So, and the story behind that is Mark Gatlin is infamous for being a bouncer at that nude bar run by the guy that they ran out of town. And so Mark he's changed his political stripe for a variety of reasons. It's like those level or blinds. He's changed his stripes, and suddenly now Mark Gatlin just is concerned about adult use places.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
It's not whether or not we're going to park trucks on there, or do a storage unit. We're talking about an age-specific business that will not allow minors in the business, which constitutes an adult use. So I'm curious. I've driven by the property several times. I've got a property out in Rogue River that I do business with. So I see the green cross on there, the green. What is that? What does that signify?
What does it signify? You're kidding me, right?
For medical marijuana, but the shop you're seeing isn't mine. I don't have any signage or anything up.
So that's not yours. That's not your shop.
No, so you're seeing another dispensary out there.
Okay, good. I'm glad I got that cleared up. Is that outside the city? It is outside.
So Mr. Gatlin doesn't even know the location they're talking about.
I'm glad I got that cleared up.
So yeah, that's not, we have not
Scratch
opened for
that
business,
question
and
off.
we've hung up no signage.
So
now also, if it's outside the city, what are they talking about? This is the city council.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this gal ought to look on a map to locate exactly where she really is, or maybe he's talking about something different. I don't know where the city limits. You leave the city limits as you go down Rogue River Highway.
And it's probably part of the urban growth boundary, which is a boundary they're eventually going to move into. But sure. During this whole meeting, and we're playing part of it, obviously, our show isn't 5 hours long. Would you like that? During this whole thing.
No, Dale, I would not like that. Just for the record, let me get, note the date and time here.
I admire him anyway. Okay. So during this meeting, a couple different times, it jumped back and forth from people swearing that it's within the city limits and people swearing it's outside the city limits. And what did she say earlier when she first started talking? Outside the city limits. And now Mark Gatlin's talking about something that's close by, which is outside the city limits. And you'll hear somebody come up a little later and say, well, it's definitely inside the city limits, but we're going to look into it. And then Kurt Ramey says, wait a minute, is it inside or outside the city limits? I mean, that's pretty important to this whole question, is it not?
I think so.
This is one of those, that's the reason I hate this show. Go ahead. Not the whole show.
Yeah, I hate this show too. When are we going to stop doing this show, for crying out loud?
Not the whole show. Tonight. I mean tonight. Go ahead. It's not cut dry.
Approved your license so that you met all the criteria. Do they not take into account the city's requirements at all?
They don't. They lay out their own zoning requirements.
So it doesn't matter if we have a problem with it next to a daycare or next to a school.
Oh, yeah, daycare. Bring that in.
They have those same criteria? School, daycare, that type of thing?
Yes. So they put up 1,000 feet buffers, 1,000 foot buffers for all of those. The only thing, and now HB 2400's gone to it as well, is it cannot be in a residential zone.
What about the residential zone requirements or restrictions, I should say, on the original license that you obtained? What are the requirements there?
Okay, so it just, on the original license, it cannot be in a residential zone.
But it can be right next to it.
But it is in a residential zone.
So, and then just to clarify, that lot that parks the trucks and the, that isn't my lot. That's the residential lot that's behind me that's undeveloped. So it's being used for commercial, even though it's residential.
Yeah. Yeah, and you did say that this was for, you know, that you're looking at this because it's a medical use, but you are indeed intending to go recreational as soon as the law allows that. I'm looking at a really big operation, especially if your plan is to go wholesale. I mean, we got people from California to Wyoming to New York. I mean,
but is that the point?
Yeah, what difference does that make?
Now.
Right.
Yes, we can't go.
I know you can't traffic, but you know it happens all the time. Yeah.
Oh,
so
well,
if
they're going to break the law, that's your fault.
Yeah, right. You know what? I mean, all she's doing is running a storefront. What they do with it after that is their business.
Wyoming, because of the trafficking that's going on through there. So to be
Can we
say
bring it back to Grants Pass?
Yeah,
I'm saying
it's
let's
good.
bring it back to
Good
Grants
call.
Pass.
Good call.
A small little, nice little, quaint little shop. It's going to do some marijuana.
What is this thing he's doing with his hands here?
That is this? You know, is it in your mind that that's
What was
not
that
going to
note
happen?
she just passed him?
Yeah, shut the hell up.
You're an idiot.
Can you tell me about that?
Okay, yes, so the safeguards that have been put in place are a full seek to sell tracking system. So everything that is brought into the dispensary has already been processed, batched, and lab tested. And a batch is up to 10 pounds of marijuana that's been sealed.
But this is off the point also.
Yes, of course it is.
Results in it. And there's a seed to sell.
I think you're better off not getting into those weeds dealing with this. Yeah, no pun intended.
It's a land use decision.
Yeah,
laws that aren't even finalized yet coming from our state. So
thank you, Mayor, for bringing me back. Thank you. That's it. I thank you very much.
Yeah, that's all he's got.
Dan.
When you came in to apply, you went to the Oregon Health Authority. I guess that was your first stop, correct?
Jackson County Sheriff was to get fingerprinted.
A little bit closer to the mic.
Sorry. Yeah, I had to get fingerprinted first and background investigation, and then I took that to the state.
And then you took that to Oregon Health Authority, and they approved you. And then at what point did you come into city planning and say, I want a business license, and then this is what I want to do and where I want to do it?
She came into them after they frisked her and they did full cavity search. Yeah, because, well, I mean, think about it. You want to open up a business. Well, first we're going to have to put you through a background check. Okay, I realize that it's marijuana, but really?
Yeah, well, she was talking about the other. Yeah, I don't get that either. Listen, you know what?
Is it legal or not legal?
Is it right? Exactly. That's my question. Exactly. If it's legal, then, you know, I don't understand all of this. You know, this is, you think that I realized back in the day when all of my friends were thinking, man, wouldn't it be great if marijuana was legal? And you never pictured it to be like this.
No.
You pictured a free market situation where everybody would be able to do whatever they wanted. That's not what is happening here.
No, definitely not in Grants Pass. Of all places, Grants Pass says, we don't care what everybody else says. We're going to establish our own rules. Really?
Right. Yeah.
Now, you went through the Oregon Health Authority, OHA, and you got clean bill of health from the OHA. Yes. Well, that's not enough, you see, because we're going to lay additional restrictions on you.
Yeah.
I'm not a marijuana smoker. Mike and I have both made this clear. I don't even eat that much flounder. That's not the point. It is, do we really need, and the county wants to do this too on a variety of it, like the fire rules. Do we need more restrictive rules than the state?
Yeah. You know what? I think that in terms of the county and the city regulating this kind of stuff, I understand, perhaps they want to say they don't want the dispensary in a certain location, or they don't want, I guess that it's regulated in much the way that a bar is or something like that. But I think the more of this kind of stuff that you put, restrictions that you put on it, you're losing some of the value that you may have gained by trying to open up this thing to the free market. And so I don't know, I do sort of have mixed feelings about this whole thing, but
just to be argumentative, me? Just to be argumentative, let's suppose that you decided something that's easier. Let's suppose you decided to have a store that sells beer inside an elementary school.
Yes.
Okay? Worst possible scenario.
Yes.
Now tell me, kids are not allowed to buy the beer.
Right.
They can drink it at home. Their parents could get in trouble if they allow them to even drink beer.
Right.
They can get in trouble. If you're running a store and it's run by nuns, okay, and they're selling the mission's beer, probably warm, and they don't allow kids to buy any, then they don't allow the kids to buy any. Well, the kids see the beer is available out there in life.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
No, that'll ruin them for life. What?
I'm thinking all you have to do is watch a football game to kind of get the gist that beer is available somewhere nearby.
Or even watch the commercials. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So, my point is that, we got to keep it away from kids. Okay, I kind of get your point, and you're welcome to your opinion. But because why? What is...
Well, part of the problem here is that the cat is out of the bag here. Listen, I'm fine if they want to put their distance restrictions on it and stuff like that. And I guess Grants Pass is within their rights to restrict having this in the city at all. If they care to, I guess.
Yeah. See, they're attacking it through the zoning laws. It's like catching Al Capone because he didn't pay his taxes.
But what other law would there be? I mean, you when you say there are no marijuana shops can be in Grants Pass, that law has to fit in somewhere, and zoning would probably be it.
Everybody knows, let's just be honest, that what the city of Grants Pass is doing is just bucking straight up against the vote that was taken. They lost the vote. They don't like the fact that they lost the vote. So they'll come up with any excuse they can because there's a big moon tonight. Why, then we can't possibly, come on.
Yeah, I don't really understand, what their motivation is here. But,
I don't want to promote marijuana smoking. I don't want to promote it, but I don't want to deny it either. If somebody wants to do that, then do it. But you don't need to blow it in my face, but go ahead.
There isn't any question, regardless what the city of Grants Pass does, there are going to be unincorporated areas of the county that get this kind of stuff happening in it, and there's not going to be a whole lot, unless the county wants to jump on board with this type of activity, and that's not really clear whether they're going to give problems in that realm or not. The city of Cave Junction is kind of, they're batting that ball around a little bit in the city council down there. So
they definitely are. And if you want to say, well, now, wait a minute, Mr. Matthews, you don't understand. It's a gateway drug. Beer is the gateway, the original gateway to all kinds of bad stuff. People get pixelated. They do from beer.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but it's not good for your lungs. Neither are cigarettes.
Yes. Well, and
really?
Listen, I got to tell you, I mean, I'm going to sound like Mark Seligman here for a minute. If you do not allow this to take place in Grants Pass or in the county somewhere, whatever prosperity is going to happen from that is going to happen somewhere else and not here.
Well, okay, and then the big support for Mark on this would be, what other sector of our economy do we hear about people who are dying to set up businesses and just can't wait to invest the money and hire people, and people want to come here and they're crowding? Hey, when are you going to start? This is like In-N-Out Burger, I want to be here. I want to wait in line for it.
Listen,
what else?
On Wednesday night, they're going to be lining up around the block wherever this stuff is going to be sold.
Because what happens Thursday morning, Mike?
Thursday morning is October 1st, and that's the first day of legal sales
of
recreational marijuana. I didn't think I had to go there, but
somebody,
you've been watching this show for 25 minutes. If you don't know what we're talking about by now,
what are they talking about? Fish?
Put down the joint and come back and watch tomorrow, and then you'll understand what we're saying.
Yeah, they're talking about pretty girls again. Yeah, well, I'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Yes.
So, Mike, go ahead and play a little bit more of the tape. We'll play as long as we can. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't. I applied for so I got a city business license for wholesale manufacturing and retail of general merchandise excluding tobacco.
Okay, so
that was during the moratorium, and you were not issuing any business licenses.
So you didn't come out and say, my business is going, you gave the name of the business, and you were going to have manufacturing and you were going to have wholesale and distributing and whatnot, but you never mentioned what the product was. So therefore, if you had, then I'm assuming that planning would have said, time out. Nobody knows where this marijuana thing is. I mean, this is fresh to all of us. This isn't just fresh. The only person, there's a couple of people in the room that have been at this a long, long time, but I'm not one of them.
What sort of aspersion are you casting there, sir?
Bear with us when we have.
Yes.
Okay. He seems to have an excellent point. You didn't tell us.
Yeah.
Now, but you got to listen to her answer. She couldn't tell them because when you fill it out, you've got to fill in a little code. There is no code.
Yeah, there's no code. Yeah.
Because of the moratorium.
See,
so
you
she
just
can't
do all the
do
suspense here.
Go ahead.
And right now, there's several sets of rules and regulations that we have to go. For crying out loud, the state of Oregon doesn't agree with the feds. So, there's a big gray area out there that we're all wallowing around in. But my concern is if
like
you
a
were to
flounder.
come in and said, I'm going to do this, and it'll be an adult business, they could have stopped you right then. Don't go rent that place, because you go rent that place or lease that place, it is not going to qualify because of our code that's been in place for 10 years. I mean, we didn't just start making this up like a lot of people say, well, you're coming along making up the rules as you go. And this one has been in place for 10 years. So that's my concern there. That first off, I wanted to know, did city staff do their job? And it sounds like they did, because they didn't know what you were up against or what you were going to do.
And
then, of course, when the state thing passed and you go, whoa, I'm in. And you come in, and then all of a sudden, whoops, that didn't happen.
Well, actually, I was ready to open, and Bartholomew called me and said, you can't open, you don't have an adult business license. So that, I really wasn't, so I never did properly address it with planning, because I thought I had everything done with the state as I waited for this moratorium to expire.
Well, and like I say, it takes a Mark Bartholomew to keep up with all these rules and regulations and laws for every little, might be a neighborhood thing for all I know on some of these things. But so it's pretty tough. And you're probably way more versed in navigating those waters than we are. So like I say, be patient with us up here as we're trying to wade through this thing and figure out what happened and what to do. Because, like I said, I'm going back to that 10 years this thing's been in place. And I understand your economic development.
Do you?
Your economic development thing,
Yes.
but
Cheryl will be the judge of that.
I'm going to open a strip club and it's going to be good for college girls. No, I'm just teasing. But anyway, I really think the Oregon Health Authority, I think, really should have given you more information than they did did they take your money? I mean, is there money involved in the Oregon Health Authority?
Listen to this.
$4,000 to license.
Wow.
I think they should have given you more information. I don't run the Oregon Health Authority. Our arm's reach only goes to the city limit.
Right.
So I thank you very much for coming in and stating your case. I'm waiting to hear if many of my colleagues have any other questions.
Okay. Ken?
Thank you for coming in and answering our questions. I've got two questions, and they're pretty simple. Were you ever made aware that this property would not be, or the type of business you wanted? Were you ever made aware by the city that it was not going to be able to be put there?
No, not until I was ready to open.
Oh, okay.
So
did the staff?
I wasn't aware of it, and the city probably wasn't aware of me.
Okay. The second question is, were you ever shown where the business could be located if there wasn't a ban? I mean, we've seen a map where the businesses are eligible to be located, but were you ever shown that map?
No, I just saw that Monday for the first time.
Did the staff do their job?
Yeah.
Before that, I just went with the zoning, the commercial restrictions set forth by the state when locating the property.
Okay, thank you.
One more question about that. Easily could be said, well, she never told them. She couldn't tell them. We're going to get to that. But because the code didn't exist. But the other thing is, the staff is now getting people that want to start new businesses. Would it occur to you as a staff person, maybe this is asking too much, for them to say, gee, we've been flooded by an awful lot of requests. Maybe we should ask these people, since this is so unusual, are you starting an In-N-Out burger? Are you starting a marijuana shop? Or are you starting a nude bar? Or whatever is the latest thing that's happening? Shouldn't they be asking?
I would think so, but as you mentioned at the onset of the program here, is that these are, it's muddy water here. There isn't a whole lot of clarity. There's a situation where the city does have some right to restrict what type of business gets done where. That's what zoning is about.
But what's their number one priority? It's always the number one priority of government. Bringing in money.
Yes, that's true.
So as long as you're willing to spend the money,
I think they're making an exception. They appear to be making an exception in this case, because there are people that would pay fat wads of money for sure you can be doing this type of thing right here in the downtown in this particular location.
But we can't have that, not on a legal product. No, wait a minute.
Okay. But I mean, that's my point. And I think that, this gal was trying to get a jump on it, and she apparently doesn't understand the nature of government bureaucracy.
She went to the state and they said, 1,000-foot separation. Grants Pass, according to what I heard, has a 200-foot.
I wonder if she's going to have to pay the $4,000 again for the next location she takes into consideration.
But the other thing she does, if she's smart enough, I can't tell by this video, if she's smart enough, then she should be, in my opinion, first in line when the city says, we've been hit with so many lawsuits, we're going to relent because this is state law now, and whether we like the vote or not, we're going to have to adhere to state law.
Yeah, that's one thing that is the one clear thing about all this is that there is going to be some adjudication here at some point, because they're going to be running into a lot of this sort of thing. I tend to think.
Well, she's right up at the front of the line now, buddy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyone else with questions for the applicant? Lily?
So I just want to clarify, you said that you're not open to the general public. but you intend to be as soon as the law allows you to be.
She's being honest about it.
Yes. So, and again, to do that, I'd have to have the sign off of the city manager on the OLCC license.
And I want to make sure I heard you correctly, that when you applied for the business, you did not disclose what your intention for the business was. You said you were simply there for manufacturing, retail, non-tobacco related. So had you put the information down on the original application of what your intended business was, you may have gotten an answer from the city sooner as far as the restrictions for adult use, since you didn't list the adult use that you intended.
Right. I was already licensed by the state and through the Secretary of State before I applied for the Grants Pass license.
So you knew what you intended to do, but did not put that down on the application for the business license.
There was no business code. So all that was on the application was the business code.
So you had a license for a medical dispensary and you asked for a business license, but did not put medical dispensary down on the license
because you have to put the code
Correct.
only.
It was during the moratorium and there was no business code for a medical marijuana facility.
So have you applied for a business license since the moratorium was up?
No.
I think that's all we have time for, but it seems like Lily Morgan, I respect Lily, it seems like she's got an excellent point, but if this lady is telling the truth and there's only room on there for the code and there's no code, now what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I guess you have that conversation with the person that you're dealing with over the counter there, and they tell you yes, no, or whatever. This is what I'm saying. It's murky, and
it's a frustrating story.
Yes, and listen, I mean, who would know? This is a brand new thing, and they haven't worked it out yet. I personally, it bothers me a little bit that I'm talking about this in relation to marijuana instead of 50 pounds of galvanized nails or something like that.
Exactly. I'm with you on that.
I'm fine with, if anybody wants to sell, galvanized nails and they want to compete with the rest of the people selling galvanized nails, have at it. There's no big deal there. But, when you get into stuff like this, there's going to be issues. You're going to have somebody saying, I don't want you selling marijuana anywhere near my house because my teenagers are going to have to walk by there every day. And they may be tempted to, buy stuff from you or have some adult friend go in there and buy something for them or whatever. I totally get that. And that is politics.
It is. And the other part about this is, look, I'm not going to paint the city as completely wrong on this because it's obvious, whether she likes this or not, she wasn't revealing everything.
She's
to
unprepared.
Everybody. Well,
yes,
that also. But she went to the state. Now, why would she go to the state? Well, okay, it's logical to start
because
with
the state says yes.
The state's going to say yes because it's state law, and we all voted. We voted. Hello, This is a politics show. We voted. So she figures, well, I'll start with them, and then I'll go back to the city. Well, of course she thinks that, okay? Let's not be coy about it. Of course, she thinks that's what she's going to do, and that didn't work. Yeah. But then the further question is, why do we have these more restrictive laws here? We've been over this many times on our show. Why is it more restrictive here than any other place? Because people, I don't like it. I don't like the smell. Hey, you lost the vote. Yeah, but I'm going to join the Republican Central Committee and shut down a headquarters because I don't like things. You know what?
Well, listen,
be an American.
Ultimately, all this stuff is going to get ironed out over time. I'm guessing that the city council or the city in general is going to find some way of extracting money from people like this that want to sell marijuana.
And then suddenly all of those restrictions are going to fly out the window.
Yes, of course they are. And listen, as we have discussed before, there is going to be somewhat of a cultural change as things happen here. And some of these new people of the new culture are going to filter into city council, and you're going to have some changes going on. So, I don't know.
They're not only fighting the battle against marijuana, they're fighting a cultural battle.
Yeah.
That's in their best interest to maintain the status quo. That's who they are. They're the status quo.
Yes, I suppose so. You're right. This isn't, it's not one of these cut and dried things. And it's, I don't know what's going to happen with this lady. I suspect that she will probably have to move somewhere outside the city limits.
Right. Now, what we didn't get to was the other part where they were talking about, we've already told you about that. Is it inside? Is it outside the city limits? Brother, there doesn't seem to be a real clear answer at this meeting about that either. Well, that's pretty key, don't you think? Why is the city council involved at all? Well, although she says it's outside the city limits, then why is she coming to the city council? Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe she just, smoked a little bit too much weed.
That's possible. This is why I said I didn't like this story. I mean, I am bringing it to you, but my gosh, this is one of those things that happens every once in a while. Let's just get back to the kind of shows where Keith Heck just flat out lies to us, and you can prove it from the meeting the day before. It's black and white. It's easy to see.
Yeah, you know what? I think it is a little bit more cut and dry. And listen, you know what? I guess that there's this illusion out there that every single thing that the county board of commissioners does gets called out on this show, and it isn't that. It really isn't. There are blatant enough things, and the contrast with this particular story and those should illustrate that. I would think that obviously there are some variables here. I suspect, just from what I've seen, I haven't seen the rest of this presentation here, so I don't know. But
we'll post it. You'll get a chance to see it.
Yeah. I would probably say, my immediate impression is that this gal hasn't really done her homework, smoking a little bit too much of her own product, and there are some rules that are not clear as to, recreational dispensaries within the city limits, which I think they're not going for at this point. Is that not true? And
no, they won't agree to that. And she has the one part that's overlooked on this, and it's further on in. You'll see the video, is that it's in a residential neighborhood, which you would think, well, obviously, you're out. That's it. It's over. The only thing is there's other things within that residential neighborhood. Oh, really? That have already been allowed. Really? And in nearby places, well, where's the consistency on this? So I would agree with your analysis of what she's done. I would also say that it's obvious that anybody that's got, some kind of plan is going to pit the state against the city. And who do you think is going to win on that after this state vote that we took? And Thursday comes up and it's now legal, and the city is still saying, no, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah, I don't think they can stand against that.
Yeah, I think time is a factor there. Ultimately, there's going to be a lot of things that change, but it may well be a long time for that. And she's not going to be able to afford to occupy that location for all that time. That costs money. And
unless she keeps it open with something else,
right?
Selling regular cookies or something.
You're right. Yes, sure.
Sushi bar.
Anyway, yes, I'll be happy to get back to something that's obvious.
That would be nice. Okay, I like that kind of story better. Maybe you guys do too. But every once in a while, we have to delve into floundering government and people who are trying to do things that. Bottom line, okay, I mentioned this at the top of the show. Anytime I'm wondering, well, wait a minute, it seems like everybody's a little right, everybody's a little wrong. who am I going to go with on this story? And I don't feel completely comfortable with this, but a very good rule of thumb in general is when you're dealing with people who have lied and cheated in the past, I don't know about this lady, but when you're dealing with people who have, it's not tie goes to the runner. To me, you have to really doubt the people who have a history of lying and cheating. That's obvious.